Hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome back to JOECMDRAWZ. Got a new video for you. Today we're going to be looking at some cool cursed pixel art weapons, so let's just jump right into it. Okay, so you saw a glimpse of all of the kind of like weapons at the beginning there, but I want to jump back to the beginning and really just like the start of my idea really for this. I was kind of like laid in bed and I just thought it'd be pretty epic to make some cool pixel art cursed weapons, or just cursed weapons in general. I didn't even know I wanted to make them in pixel art to start with, so I ended up just jumping into Photoshop and just sketching out. But when I didn't really, wasn't really happy with just drawing them, I switched over to pixel art as, weapons are pretty satisfactory when they have a lot of symmetry, so I just jumped in here and I was thinking about what kind of like cursed weapon I wanted to design. You know, if this is supposed to be a cursed weapon, it's got to be cool, right? So I ended up thinking, well, what kind of things don't I like? And spiders were one of them. And so I thought a cool like cursed spider sword would be pretty epic. So I ended up doing these kind of like two ones at the top here. If I just zoom in here, I mean, they're okay. This was without any kind of like reference, you know. Whenever anybody looks at spiders, the first thing that comes to mind is like black widows, isn't it? So I kind of did that. You see the like little black widow symbol on the back of the sword there. You know, I thought this could be like the guard or something, and that head would be, you know, that top bit would represent the head of the spider, and then this bit would actually, like the mandibles or the fangs of the spider would actually hold the actual blade itself. And you would have the pommel down there, and each of these legs would kind of like just be rigid steel. And you know, they're okay. You know, that one's a little bit smaller than this one, and the colours are different. I do like the fun colours. But then I ended up just actually looking at some reference of actual spider patterns, because I thought, ooh, instead of this like big butt thing just being a black widow, because that's just kind of boring. As like I said earlier, everybody always does that. I went for I googled some spider patterns and I found the smiling spider. If you've ever seen them, if you google spider patterns, you'll see it's a green, kind of almost translucent spider that has kind of like a really demonic or happy looking face on its back, and I thought that's a really cool pattern. So I ended up sketching this black one out here, pretty much trying to follow the same kind of like pattern as the other ones, you know, getting the eyes on there, and then I added this kind of creepy face on the back. I thought, yeah, this is cool. And then I end up kind of pretty much using the same kind of like top bit and pommel bit for the sword, but then I thought, well, what else can I use? And I wanted some legs on here, and I googled, like I said, I looked at some of these pictures of these smiling spiders, and I found one where it had all its like legs going in different directions. So I was like, that's pretty epic. So I tried to kind of like mimic that, and I ended up with these really cool like these 8 legs are really cool. They're all kind of like curling in different directions, and I think these are really cool. So I really like that, and I thought, well, okay, what colours do I want? You know, what colours I must associate with spiders? You know, blacks and reds, pinks and blues. You know, if you ever looked at spiders, there's a lot of different coloured spiders out there. So I just did this one. It had like purple and blue. I thought that looks really cool, because I didn't just want to be black. You know, having a black sword is cool, but it's also very boring, and I wanted to work with a lot of colours. So I did this one. I was like, okay, that's okay, and I had like this little shine there. And then I did this one up here. I thought, well, if it's supposed to be a spider, it's got to be like, well, it's got to be hanging upside down, right? So it's got like I got it hanging from this like web here, which looks really cool. And it also looks a little bit more like a spider, which I think's pretty cool. I also added these yellow bits onto the legs here, because I thought if it's in the dark, if you're an adventurer, and I'm thinking this from a game perspective, you know, you defeat the boss or whatever, and you gain this weapon, it'll like kind of come down on a giant thread or something, and these legs will be like twitching and moving in all these like different directions. So that's kind of like what I was thinking, and finally ended up with this one at the bottom. If you saw the final kind of like weapons in the beginning bit there, you'll notice that one's there. I changed the colours a little bit, you know, to a deeper orange, a deeper, more bluish purple colour, and I really like the look of it. It looks pretty cursed. It looks like a spider. So I was pretty happy with that, and I just touched up the shine there, just added some white in between the purple, just to add a little bit more definition. And I'm just working in the Game Boy perspective, or the Game Boy kind of resolution, sorry, here, because I just really like working in that resolution, really. There's nothing more else to it. I just really like that resolution. So why don't I tell you a little bit of the lore for the Great Spider Blade. The Great Spider Blade. This cursed weapon was forged from the blood of 10,000 arachnids, its main body fashioned similar to a spider. It bestows great power to those who wield it, but at a hefty price. The blade is glazed with a potent venom that paralyzes foes, produces a weapon as strong as steel from the pommel, and the 8 legs that adorn this weapon possesses their own will, able to parry incoming attacks, crawl on walls, and swipe at enemies. Nevertheless, if one were to continue to wield such a mighty blade, they may be afflicted with spiderification. This appears in their sprouting hairs, additional limbs, and eyes, transforming the user into a repulsive monster, only to be hunted by others. So it's a pretty cool cursed blade. Like, the more you use it, its specific abilities, you'll be transformed into a horrific spider creature. I'm thinking like maybe if this was a game, you know, you would defeat the boss in this dungeon and you would kill them, and you would gain this weapon. You know, you'd fight this giant spider creature, this half man, half spider creature that would crawl around the map or whatever. But I'm really happy with this. You know, I had a vision, I had an idea, and it ended up coming pretty close to what I wanted it to be, really. I do like the idea that, you know, you can just grab onto the sword and it'll just crawl up the wall for you, or shoot webs, and you can apply like poison or paralysis damage to enemies and stuff like that. And yeah, these 8 legs are completely independent and they can just move around of their own will. So I like that. But the more you use it, the more you'll be transformed into a hideous spider creature. And so let's say, like I said again, if this was a game, you'd go to like maybe a town or whatever. The guards would probably recognize you, like, hey, you can't come in, you're a monster, and they would attack you. So that's kind of like the curse. You're being afflicted with spiderification. So yeah, and then you would have to restart the game, or you'd have to find somewhere to reverse the spiderification, or just not go into towns and get supplies and have to eat creatures or other animals or whatever. So yeah, I'm thinking maybe this could have some sort of ultimate or unique ability. Maybe because I don't know. Let me know. Come with an idea. But I think it could summon thousands upon thousands of like little spiders as like familiars, and they would attack like enemies for you. But you need to like feed them or something, you know. But that's the Great Spider Blade. Let's move on to the next cursed weapon that I've designed. Okay, the next weapon that I designed is called the Cursed Candle Dagger. And you know, I wanted to create all these different kind of weapons. I didn't just want them all to be swords, and so I wanted to create a dagger. And I had this idea of a candle that'd be kind of like cursed, and I just kind of like did these kind of like initial designs. I looked up references of actual like candles, and looked at old candle holders, you know, the ones that have like the little hook in them that you can like hold and you would walk around them, you know. You see like the Victorian era, and I think those look really, really cool. And so I did these couple of ones here at the start. I thought these are just really complicated and I didn't really like them. They were too long, you know, they had all these like extra bits here and I didn't really like them. I did have this one where it has like these twin kind of like flames on there on the same wick, and thought, that's kind of cool. But I'm going to try it again, and so I made this candle even thinner. I tried to kind of have these like little dealy bobs on the side there for the guard, and trying to change up this bit here, but it didn't look that great. But it did fix up the flame though, and I thought the flame looks pretty cool. And then I went over to this one and I thought, let's actually look it up, like handles of daggers and stuff like that. And I also wanted to add some effects of like maybe a glow and then maybe some melting wax as well. So I've just got them there. I think the melting wax turned up pretty well. And the candle actually looks really cool with this kind of like yellowishy tint to it. And the flame looks pretty cool as well, you know. I'm getting better at pixel art, I've noticed. And these are actually really, really cool. I've got just like a handle here on the side, and that looks okay. I thought, what else can I do to make this a lot cooler? So I tried again, and I did this one here. I like this one a lot. You know, it's got these kind of like odd, kind of like curving shapes here and there. And the candle, I changed to more of a like a bluish tint. And the flame's obviously blue and purple and white there. It's got these little wispies there as well. And I've added kind of like a gold tint to the handle there, or the holder they'll be sitting in. and I've got like a little bit of like droopy wax there. So that's the cursed candle dagger. Why don't I tell you the lore behind this particular dagger? The cursed candle dagger. This particular weapon was crafted from the finest of waxes and lit with the everlasting flame. Its dazzling blue light and delightful citrusy smell enchants those foolish enough to simply use this as a mere candle. It can provide great powers of fire to the user, scorching their enemies to ash. But be warned, once equipped, the molten wax will burn its user, welding their flesh to the hilt, leaving them unable to discard this cursed tool, forcing them to endure excruciating burns from the continually melting wax. So I thought, yeah, it'd be really cool, kind of like this cursed wax dagger that would give you abilities over fire, and you could burn enemies and reduce them to ash, or apply burn damage, or let you have like a really cool source of light in a dungeon, stuff like that. But obviously the curse for this weapon is that the wax, since this candle is like eternal and ever like burning, it would constantly be dripping this hot molten wax onto your hand until the point where you just literally cannot let go. Once you equip it, you can't actually let go of it, and I think that's a pretty cool curse. So you just be constantly enduring this absolutely excruciatingly burning pain over and over and over again. Yeah, so I also made the flame blue instead of orange, because usually I just think blue flames are pretty cool and they look cooler than orange flames, plus blue flames indicate that it's actually burning brighter. So yeah, and the last little detail that I added on here is just these little wispies. It makes it look a little bit more alive. I could have ended up adding some animation, but I just didn't want to, or I just didn't have enough time, as I haven't uploaded for a while. So yeah, I'm really happy with the way this one turned out. All of the ones that I've actually done today actually turned out really cool. You know, I had a vision, I looked up some reference, and like I said earlier, it just turned out really well how I actually envisioned it. It's very, that doesn't actually happen a lot, so I'm really happy with this cursed kind of like candle dagger. So yeah, why don't I get on to the next cursed weapon that I designed. Okay, the next cursed weapon that I designed is this called the Cursed Canine Crusher. Now it's kind of this behemoth of a weapon, and that's the end result there. I think that's really cool, but I want to take you back to some of these early ones. Some of these early ones look a little bit goofy, actually. You know, my idea was that it'd be kind of like this blade or a dog blade that would be kind of like act like a dog. It would bark and it would like sniff around and it would do all sorts of cool stuff. You know, be able to dig up treasure, scare away enemies with barks, and its howl would actually be able to power you up. And obviously the curse for this one is that the more you would use it, the less human speech you would actually have, and it would eventually replace all of your human speech with like barks and grunts. You could only talk in dog, or you'd only be able to bark. And if, like I said earlier, if this was a game scenario, you would not be able to actually interact with any of the NPCs or actually talk with any of them. Actually, so you won't be able to buy anything, you won't be able to get like any inn, like checking any inns or anything. Make the game infinitely harder. But this one went on more of a journey actually. The beginning piece here and the ending one here are completely different, you know. But this first one's a little bit goofy, you know. I had to look up actually like faces of dogs to actually trying to figure out what I was doing. I wanted to make this one like a great sword initially. But you know, that first one's a little bit goofy. This second one, it looks a little bit cool. You know, it's got like this serrated edge here on the for the blade, and it's got this face that I changed up to make it a little bit more demonic, a little bit more evil. But yeah, it was okay. I made it a bit longer as well. I copied that and I tried again. I tried to do this face again. You know, trying to change some different things up. You know, change the mouth, change the eyes. Made this like bottom bit a little bit thicker. And then changed the blade to it. It's got all like these spiky dealy bobs on the side there. You know, it's this great sword with all these like serrated blade, like serrated edge, so you could like chop through trees or whatever. And I tried again and I made it a little bit thinner here. Yeah, and I kind of like changed up this bottom bit as well, so it's a little bit thinner. And I changed up this guard bit where it's a little bit more of a triangle. But I just wasn't really feeling it. I tried to add some colour to it, and I changed up this middle bit again. And I just could not make this dog face work. I just couldn't make it work, which I was kind of sad about. But you know, I thought I'll just try something else. I thought what if I added a dog skull or a dog face or like a canine skull onto it? That would make it a little bit more cursed and more occult, and you know, it'd actually give off a vibe of actually being cursed. And you know, that's where this one came into when I created the final illustration, and I'm actually super freaking happy with the way this one turned out. It's not exactly more of a blade, it's more like a crushing weapon. Like this great like crushing weapon that would actually just crush enemies, you know, with great blunted force. And the one thing I'm most proud of this one is the actual like dog skull on the there to act like as like the guard. I'm most proud of myself for doing that, because have you ever actually looked at dog skulls or canine skulls in general? They're really freaking complicated, and to be honest, I'm not super confident in my pixel arting skills most of the time, but this time I'm really proud of myself. I really kicked out the park. I think it actually looks like a skull as well. I just tried my best. I was basically just fumbling around until I got something that I was actually happy with. And my idea was that this blade would actually be inserted into the top of the skull there, and that would act as the guard, like I said. But yeah, I also kind of like how it looks like a macuatl or a macuitl. If anybody knows how to speak Mexican, let me know if I'm pronouncing that actually right. But you know, the ancient Aztec weapons that would use like serrated obsidian, which is super freaking dope. I love those weapons, and I didn't even intentionally, sorry, go for that, but it ended up looking like a macuatl, and yeah, so why don't I tell you the lore behind this weapon. The Canine Crusher. This behemoth is an ancient tribal weapon passed down through the ages, perfectly preserved, its mighty blade providing devastating blunt force damage. The canine skull, embedded as the hilt, can locate treasure, alert its user to nearby enemies, and provide a monstrous howl to power up allies. However, continuous use of this cursed tool slowly replaces human speech with grunts, growls, and howls, leaving the user unable to communicate with others of its kind. Some say this weapon was created by the tribe to become closer to their god. So yeah, when I'm writing the descriptions for all these weapons, especially this one, I really leaned into that kind of like that tribal aspect, and that, again, that link back to the macuatl and the Aztecs, and make it more of like this kind of cool, kind of blunt force crushing tribal weapon. So that's the canine cursed crusher, or the cursed canine crusher. Sorry, but yeah, I'm really happy with this one. Again, this one, like I said, had a bit of a journey, but I love the end result. So I love this one. So yeah, so why don't I get on to the next cursed weapon that I've designed. Okay, this is the next cursed weapon that I designed. Yeah, there's not much here, to be honest, so this might be a relatively quick one, but I got an idea. Like I said, I didn't want all the weapons to be just swords, but I thought there's different types of swords. There's like broadswords and great swords and long swords, and so I wanted this one to be a long sword. And I actually really love medieval longswords. I think they look really cool. I've always wanted one, so maybe one day. But I had a pretty cool idea. I wanted a sword that had like a power of sight. I was trying to come up with different methods that would actually kind of like curse or harm the user. I thought about maybe like one that would take away your hearing, but I thought sight might be a little bit better. So I ended up just starting with a design for a longsword, again using reference of long swords, and I'm looking at the hilts and the pommels and the blades. They're quite actually fat at the bottom and then get quite thin towards the top, and they have a lot of really nice symmetry, so that's why I really like them. This first like incarnation here, nothing much to it. I tried to like incorporate this eyeball here, because with this one it's actually called Ocular, the Sword of Sight. So I wanted some sort of like eyeball in there, or some gem or jewel that would be represent of an eye. And in the lore I'll actually tell you what it actually is. But yeah, it's basically just a long sword with this kind of like really cool eye that's inserted into it that would give the user these kind of unique powers over sight, so they'll be able to see like hidden passages, hidden pathways, reveal enemy kind of like weaknesses, or show you where you can like hit enemies for like a critical hit to do extra damage or whatever, you know, on top of what a regular normal longsword would do. But yeah, in terms of the actual pixel art for this one, I'm just really satisfied with it. You know, it kind of looks like a long sword. It's got the hilt and you know, the guard and the pommel and the actual blade there. Like I said, it would just be a regular long sword, but with all these like really cool like gold accents and this kind of creepy eye in the center there. But yeah, I'm just really satisfied with the results. So why don't I just get straight into the lore for this weapon? Ocular, the sword of sight. This cursed tool was once a simple longsword. However, after a mad warlock's eye was inserted into the blade, it became imbued with dark energy, giving its wielder the power to see invisible doorways, secret passages, enemy weaknesses, and the ability to see in the dark as if it were daylight. However, the sword's curse is that the user's sight is directly linked to the blade. If the sword takes significant damage or is destroyed, the user will lose their vision forever. So yeah, it's a pretty cool cursed sword. You know, this sword's vision is directly linked to its wielder, so you and the sword are actually connected. So if you were to like sheath this sword, it would actually you would actually go blind, or all you would see would be darkness. So you actually need to keep this actually unsheathed. So maybe, like I said, in a game setting, if you need to kind of like sheath weapons or something, or they'll bar you from entry, or you'll be under suspicion. Maybe you won't get into some towns because you actually have your sword unsheathed. So it does provide a little bit of like pushback and a setback for the character. And obviously if it takes like significant damage, so like in Dark Souls your weapons can break, can't they? So if it takes like 50% damage, you'll actually be blind in one eye, and if you break it, that's it, your character is actually blind. So you actually have to fumble your way back to a town to get it fixed, or you need to buy a potion of sight or go see some sort of like doctor or warlock to kind of restore your sight for a hefty amount of gold. So yeah, that's Ocular, the sword of sight. I'm really happy with that one. So why don't I get on to the next weapon that I designed. Okay, and the final cursed weapon I've designed here is actually a great hammer. Like I said at the start of this, I didn't want them all to just be the same, or didn't want them to be swords, so I wanted to create a great hammer, and this is called the Grandfather Great Hammer. Again, like the last one, initially I just kind of like used references of grandfather clocks, and I just kind of tried to translate it into pixel art form, and I think I've created a pretty cool first design here. You know, I tried to create the representation of a clock, or kind of like the little cabinet there that you see in grandfather clocks, with the actual like clock hands and the little swinging pendulum down there with a little bit of a guard and a pommel, and you know, all the other little cool dealy bobs that are actually on like hammers and stuff, and it'd be this kind of giant wooden kind of like hammer made from a grandfather clock. And yeah, I just think it turned out pretty well. And then the colour version here, I added a little bit more detail. As you can see, the actual hands are actually turned at different bits there, and you've got actually these little dots here that represent like the notches of time, and obviously you got the colour there, it's like a golden or yellowishy colour to represent like the little cabinet, and you've got the little swinging pendulum down there, and you've got this like kind of a nice dark brownish, almost like reddish cherry colour, because I thought, oh, this could be actually carved from like cherry wood. I think that'd be interesting. And yeah, not really that much to say on this one. The top bit gave me a little bit of trouble actually, but after a little bit of fiddling, I think I came up with a pretty cool design there. But yeah, that's the Grandfather Great Hammer. Why don't I go and tell you the lore behind this one. The Grandfather Great Hammer. This great hammer was once a magnificent grandfather clock carved from cherry oak. It once told the time and chimed a wonderful tune, but now, instead of telling time, it demands it from those who wield it, stealing their time, forcing them to take it from others. Its powers will only work on living beings. Its ultimate ability, named For Whom the Bell Tolls, seizes the life force of friends and foes to give to the user, negating any damage or unwanted effects. However, it's not enough. It's never enough. You need more time. So, yeah, basically this weapon would actually age you rapidly, or would age you over time the more you wield it, so you will need to steal life force and time from living creatures, so like the grass, the plants, the trees, other birds, other animals, even like companions. You can use that ultimate ability to steal the remaining time they have left. So like say they have like, I don't know, 50 health left, you would steal their 50 health, killing them but you would gain all the health back, and like any like poison or paralysis effect your character would have, it would literally turn back the time on them, and to before that they were paralyzed. And yeah, but obviously, like I said, the more you wield it, the more time you'll be losing, so you need to steal more. It's kind of like a voracious hunger. You need to keep constantly killing to keep your time from going out, actually. And it'd be this kind of big hammer that you would swing around. And like I said, it's like crafted from cherry oak. And yeah, I really love this one. Like I said, I love all of them, but I really like this one. This was kind of like a last minute addition, actually, to the kind of the roster of these cursed weapons. But I thought time was a really interesting concept, and I wanted to do just something that didn't just stop time or fast forward it or pause it or whatever. I wanted to do something a little bit more nuanced, where it would actually steal time rather than actually giving it, because it's obviously a cursed weapon. But yeah, be imbued with some sort of like cursed energy or something that would steal time from you. But yeah, that's the cursed great grandfather great hammer. Fumbling my words a bit there, but yeah, I love this one. You know, nothing more else to say about it. Let me know if you like it. But just to round out this video, here's the roster of all the cursed weapons: the great spider blade, the cursed candle dagger, the great canine crusher, ocular, the sword of sight, and the grandfather great hammer. So let me know which one you liked the most. I love all of them, but yeah, let me know which one that you liked. Leave it in the comments, and yeah, but that's all I've got ready for you now. Yep, see you guys next time. Bye! Hey there, thanks for watching. If you like what you see, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share my work around. I'll see you next time.